Evan Nathaniel Singletary, Sr., born in 1960 in Washington, D.C., raised in Prince George's County, Maryland, 64 years old.
Andrea Order Singletary. I am from Portsmouth, Virginia, born and raised. I am 62 years old.
Wow, fondest memories. I got so many of them. Probably when my brother and I went to a club as Morris Day and Jerome during Halloween night. And we took like second or third place, I believe. Talent show, yeah, yeah. They played the music, and then I was Morris Day, and he was Jerome, so he carried the mirror around all last night. We had purchased some sequence jackets from a thrift store, and so I hadn't thought about that in years. Wow.
A fond moment of my childhood growing up in Portsmouth. Truly how people were engaged with one another. The neighbors actually looked after neighbors. Kids belonged to everybody. We all belonged to our neighbors, and they looked out for us, going bike riding and playing blocks and blocks away from the home. And as the cliche goes, be in by lights out when the street lights come on. Remembering those things and just not being afraid and fearful to be out and playing about.
Um, well, he pretty much knows we got a unique thinking thing, so he pretty much knows what I'm thinking about or what I'm going through. You know, he knows that I love him and our youngest brother, and we're pretty close. So yeah,
I have 3 adult children and 2 grandchildren.
got three children, one daughter and 2 sons.
That no matter what went on, I love them immensely. And even though they may have gone left or gone right, just truly believing that the raisings that Dad and I have instilled in you will lead you back to the core values of love and Christ being the center of everything.
One of the most important things is that they realize how blessed they are. You know, they don't take a whole lot for granted, and that you know, at an early age, I showed them that everybody doesn't live like they live. Everybody doesn't, you know, drive what they drive or have the family that they have. So
They're my little hearts. Currently 9 and 5, and they are special. Just knowing that they're from my daughter, so just knowing that they are products of us, and that the generation will go on and on. And it's just exciting to know the love I have for them and that they have for their mama.
Is that what they call you?
Mama. Mhm. And that stems just because this is a legacy tape, and that stems from what I used to call my mom when I would share love with her. I would call her Maui. And that's what I said I would be called Maui by my grandchildren. But the first one that came along couldn't get Maui out, so she started saying Mama. So that's where that came from. But it is actually a heartfelt, a heartstring to my own mother.
well, my first wife's name is my only wife. Only wife's name is is Andrea.
Stud Muffin. I'm sorry, Kevin.
37 years.
37 years.
That she loves me in spite of, and she's patient with me. I met her at the beach. Yeah, my brother and I come down Saturday Was it Saturday? Yes. No, I'm sorry, Sunday. We come down Sunday late morning, and so at the end of our time on the beach, we decided it was time to go. And so when I met her, I was contemplating introducing myself earlier in the afternoon, but I just kept putting it off, and so she must have been praying. So I went over there and introduced myself.
What is your version of the story of how you and Stud Muffin met?
Well, uh, we met on a Sunday, fourth Sunday in July in 1984. A girlfriend of mine and I had planned to go to the beach after church, and it just seemed like everything got in the way of us going to the beach. When we finally got down there, and that's at Virginia Beach, when we finally got down there, it was crowded. I mean, elbow to elbow crowded, and there was no place for us to place our blanket. However, off 19th Street in the area, there was one gigantic open space, and I told my girlfriend Angie, I said, there's a spot right there. So we went and placed our things there, and as we were sitting there, we saw a group of people in front of us, and there were two men standing there facing each other. And I looked, I said, oh my God, look at that good looking guy right there. And she said, which one? I said, the one standing to the right. She said, Andrea, they're twins. No, they're not twins. They're brothers. I can see they favor, but they are not twins. Andrea, they are twins. Well, I don't care. The one on the right. So we just kind of made eye contact back and forth. And it was one time I told her, I said, if he looks back here again at me, I'm going to wink my eye. Sure enough, he turned and looked, and I gave him the wink. And I think that's when I fell over. I think that's what so that was correct. Fast forward a few minutes, they were getting ready to leave, and he came back to speak to me and told me his name. He got my number and told me he would call later in the week, and he did call that Tuesday, and it just started from there. But I did, Sean, just to tell you, I did ask him the other day. I said, and I really think our relationship and our marriage was God ordained because of how everything played out. I don't have time to tell you detail for detail, but how it played out, and we ended up connecting. The one thing I asked him, I said, well, I was there with my friend who's an attractive young lady. How is it that you looked at me and connected with me as opposed to looking at her? And I think it was the same blindness that God put over my eyes to see him. He put over his eyes to see me, that he wasn't looking at her, and I wasn't looking at his brother who's an identical. But, that's just how it played out. And that was 40 years ago.
Do you have a sharp memory, or that was so important that you remember every single detail?
I think that was so important because it was life-changing. That moment was life-changing. I mean, we left to go down to the beach at 4 o'clock. I can tell you what I was wearing. I mean, it was just, and it turns out that's kind of like a memory spot off 19th Street
Hmm.
across the boardwalk. Yeah.
Anything else you want to share before I hit stop?
No, I don't think so.